Spring is finally here, which means you can break out the floral prints and the peep-toed shoes. But most importantly, you can play with all of the new spring makeup. We scoured the runways to come up with the hottest looks of the season. Our top picks: bold punch-colored lips, flawless skin, and bright eyeshadow. And to help us all learn how to create these looks at home, we have makeup artist Taylor Babayan here with us.
Thanks for having me, Kristen. To get that bold lip color look, I'm using CoverGirl Lip Perfection in Flame. So I'm gonna start by using a lip brush just so I can get that intense saturated color. Start with a little V at the bow of the mouth and a line at the base, and just kind of connect the corners. You can also just apply it straight from the lipstick tube, but I always like to use a lip brush just to get that perfect look. You definitely don't want it to have any mistakes. You don't want it to look messy. You want it to look nice and clean. And a brush will actually really help you get that look. So if this lip color seems too bright or too bold for you, a great trick is to just use a nude lip liner all over the mouth, and that'll help to really neutralize some of the redness or pinkness. If you ever make a mistake, which a lot of people do with bright lips, you can also use a little concealer brush just to wipe away any of the excess, and that'll act as an eraser.
Bright punch-colored shade looks great with spring's floral prints. Another big trend for spring: flawless contoured skin. We saw this look all over the runways, and it's actually easier to do than you would think. Taylor's gonna show us how to get the sculpted look.
To contour, all you need is bronzer, blush, and highlighter. I'm using CoverGirl Instant Cheekbones Contouring Blush in Sophisticated Sable, which has all three. So when I start, I'm gonna actually start with my bronzer. And we're just gonna apply it right underneath the cheekbone area and kind of blend that through. And I always like to blend it with the temple. We're gonna follow that with some blush. Smile for me on the apples of the cheeks. And then really bring out the highlights in the face by using a little bit of a highlighter. Just on the bridge of the nose, as well as above the cheekbone. That just really highlights all of your bone structure. I'm just applying a little bit of the bronzer underneath the jawline. To continue with that no makeup look, you want to finish it off with just one coat of mascara and a pinky nude lip gloss.
A no makeup look like this one looks really great with all of the sporty dresses we're starting to see everywhere. And then there's a look that's a little more daring: bright eyeshadow. But this is a little more subtle and wearable than the looks we saw in the 80s. Taylor's gonna show us how to take it from runway to everyday.
So to get this bold eyeshadow look, I'm gonna use Dolce & Gabbana eyeshadow in Sky. So whenever you're using a bright color eyeshadow, in order for it to not look too costumey, you want to make sure that you apply it at the base of the lid and you don't go above the crease. And for those of you that have monolids, you just don't want to go above the middle of the eye. The moment you go into this town, it actually makes it a little bit not so modern. This is a great way to use any sort of bright eyeshadow and make it more wearable for the day by just applying it on the top lid. So I'm just going to go in with some black eyeliner to really help define that eye. And of course, we're gonna finish with a lot of mascara, like CoverGirl LashBlast 24-Hour Mascara. So the trick with mascara is you definitely wanna get it as close to the base of the lash as possible. And you wanna start from underneath the lash and really work it through. And I love to add several coats of mascara with this look. Since the shadow is so intense, it's always nice to have femininity with the lashes, just to make everything look a little prettier. So whenever you're doing the bottom lashes, you wanna get the brush vertical. So anytime you're doing that bold shadow look, you're gonna finish it off with some black liner to really define the eye, and then of course tons of mascara to really make it really pretty. But then you wanna keep the skin really clean, maybe just a hint of blush, and then keep the lips really neutral.
Since Laura's eyeshadow is already so colorful, it's best to pair it with an all black and white outfit, another huge trend for spring. And that's it for our spring makeup trend report. Thanks for watching.